So the next thing we're going to do is talk about lead. Now I have a friend who's coming from the San Bernardino County Public Health Department, and he's the county lead specialist. He's coming to the um, Earth and Biological Sciences Division in the School of Medicine here at Loma Linda to speak about lead exposure, and he's bringing with him XRF, an X-ray fluorescence gun or machine that you're able to actually quantify lead, mercury, other metals. So what I have here is one of these Hesperian guides, and these are useful to get a brief summary as far as it goes with occupational exposure to lead. I wanted to also mention that lead, there's a quiz question on lead, and the thing with lead is that we have a lot of exposure to lead. Still, things are sold in the U.S. that have a lot of exposure. Basically, any electronic component probably has lead in it. Maybe this USB drive here. Let me get this video a little bit bigger. This USB drive, actually this one says County of San Bernardino Environmental Health Services on it. But this type of USB drive will also, in the components inside, the little bitty circuit board that's soldered, will also have a little bit of lead in it. Many types of electronic devices will have lead. Maybe a little charger will have lead. It's still a really commonly used metal to connect the electrical components together. So I'm looking around in my garage here, and I see some things that have lead. So here's one. This is solder. This is a coil of solder, and this is used to join electrical components together. And if you can see here, it says lead free. And here's another one. And this one is called solder core wire. And this one is it's called 6040 rosin core solder. And if you talk to people that like tinkering and like working with electronics, they're going to want to use something like this. You can just go and buy this in the store, and 6040, what that means is 60% tin and 40% lead. So this metal right here is pretty much directly just lead metal. Even there's some that melted off right there. And if you know what solder is, it's a metal that you use, let it melt readily, and it flows very nicely. It has a lot of nice properties. So let's see. If you look on the back here, I think I bought this at Radio Shack a while back. If you look on the back, you can see there's a warning about the California warning there. And if you look on a lot of new cars that are out there available for sale, you're going to have a warning about lead there too. That's just something that might be on the quiz or is on the quiz that you should note. Sources of exposure to lead. Here's a lengthy list. This is from the WHO training package for children's health and the environment. It's really great bunch of material here. And I've taken a few slides here and there in this presentations. So it's a petrol additive. Most of the countries in the world don't use it anymore. Old paint in houses. I showed you this earlier picture from the presentation earlier of some of my experience with lead. Let me go up and try to find that again. So we have this here with this lead check kit. Older houses. This is in South Central LA. It's a standard apartment. I go in there as a home hygiene inspector, and I'm able to quantify that. Let me get back to the slide here. Also, improper de-leading or renovation of old houses, contaminated dust and soil, smelters, battery recycling. There's a lot of battery recycling plants around that have traditionally contaminated the soil. Some tattoos, children of lead workers, wax, crayons, candle wicks, cosmetics, and some folk remedies, drinking water from old pipes. This baby here has some cosmetics on, and that nice dark black color there. You're able to get a really unifying, very rich red and black colors from lead. It's really useful to put in paints because it makes the paint flow and spread very nicely. And that's another reason why we like to use it in solder because when you try to melt, you have these two kinds of solder here. If you're getting really frustrated trying to join two wires together, this one right here is the 6040, and this one is the non-lead one. If you start with this one and you get so frustrated because it's just not melting, it's not consistent, doesn't flow nice, you're going to go to this one. Um, and it's just like, then, when you're done touching those things, you have to wash your hands. Now I have to take a break and go wash my hands because I touched it. It's dangerous. I have children and they can access that stuff, and I'm not sure what it tastes like, but it might be sweet. So, the take-home point here is that lead is all over the place. Here's a computer chip, or this looks like some kind of old graphics card for a computer. Leaded gasoline, lead-based paint. Nowadays, they don't put lead in paint anymore. They use something called titanium dioxide because it has some of the similar properties. And here is the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission talking about Geotrax locomotive toys. This is a Fisher-Price toy that in 2007 had the lead paint standard. It was painted with lead paint. Imagine that. So a lot of times people that work in an environment with lead, you get lead on your clothes and you go home, you hold the baby, and the baby gets exposed to it. Don't carry lead into your house. Again, children are at the highest risk for lead exposure. They have a high hand-to-mouth activity. They have repeated ingestion of paint chips and dust. They inhale dust. The thing with children is, this is an important one, is that they have a high absorption for metals. Fraction of absorption for children is 40%, while that with only 10% for adults. They also have a high susceptibility at critical periods of their brain development. Lead can lead to these kind of things, even attention deficit disorder and other types of neurological disorders. So serious central nervous system effects and other adverse health consequences can occur when it's even ingested at low levels in kids. Toxicokinetics, so that's actually what happens when the lead is metabolized inside the body or changed inside the body. How does it change when it comes in, the toxicokinetics part? So organic lead, it's metabolized in the liver, and inorganic lead, there's no transformation, and adults can retain 1% of the absorbed dose, while children up to 2 years old will retain 1/3 of the absorbed dose. That's 33.33% rather than 1%. It's a lot more lead. Symptoms and signs to lead exposure, there's a variety of things. Skeletal, one thing, is pretty important. Reduced stature. If you have a lot of lead exposure as a child, you're going to be stunted. Also, kidney, hearing is reduced, blood issues, gastrointestinal. Symptoms and signs, there's a wide spectrum of problems. There's the blood lead levels, but the major things with kids and exposure to lead is the central nervous system problems. Hyperactivity, restlessness, behavioral disturbances, learning disabilities. They have low scores on cognitive tests. Blood level levels that are greater than 70 is rare, but then you'll start getting headaches, lethargy, coma, seizures. And then you get problems with your peripheral neuropathy, but that's an adult issue. GI issue, abdominal pain. So there's even blood lead levels associated with child's decrease in IQ with exposure to lead. It's very serious. I mean, it's very well studied, but it's also very serious exposure. I mean, I am pretty serious about not allowing kids to come in the garage because, if I have any of this solder that gets around or even a part of it, there's no way I want them to, touch it or try to eat it or whatever. Lead poisoning is often subclinical and has nonspecific symptoms. You really have to use a lab test to figure out if you're exposed or not.